Hello everyone. We just finished an 11-hour stream going through the new PTR and checking out all the quests and whatnot. Here's my quick synopsis on what we learned today and the story and whatnot. We'll do a full playthrough and deep dives and videos, but for those curious, here is what we learned today. We have been warned at the start of the War Within that the World Soul ringing out, according to the Locust Walker, is actually heralding the coming of the Mencius, the All-Devouring. And considering that Xal'atath, the Harbinger, is going around, Locust Walker was like, yep, we should prepare for that. You should totally be careful. So from that we learned that there was a connection between the World Soul ringing out and the Mencius, because that's also what happened on Karesh. So we learned that Karesh, the homeworld of the Ethereals, also had a World Soul, right? And we learned that there was some sort of history between the Locust Walker and Xal'atath. Now, the history of the Ethereals, as we knew it, is that they summoned the Mencius into reality, and they entered this big old war. And the Ethereals were really clever, right? Or the Kareshi, as they were called back then. And so they were able to set up barriers, shields, to protect themselves against the Mencius. And they were really good at protecting themselves against the Mencius' void powers, but the arcane magic, it blasted through it, and it changed the Ethereals forever. It turned them into the ghostly beings. From that, Karesh was destroyed, the Ethereals went out, and we would help them claim vengeance upon the Mencius in the Burning Crusade, where we actually helped them fight the Mencius, the All-Devouring, and we defeated him. Turns out that that history is, well, it's the history that the leaders of Karesh wanted us to know. It's not the real history. Because what happened was that the transformation into the spirit people, and which gave them a chance to fight back against the Mencius, was actually with the help of his Harbinger, with the help of Xal'atath. She is the one that allows them to do this. And their leaders did not tell all their people that this was going to happen. Even their people are like, we did not know this. Beyond that, they also blew up their planet in order to destroy the Mencius. And they didn't fully succeed. They turned the Mencius into little pieces, which is the reason why we saw him in the Burning Crusade, and I also believe the reason as to why he was part of the artifact quest line for the priests. So that was new. That's something we learned. We also learned that the brokers from the Shadowlands are actually connected to the Ethereals. After the destruction of Karesh, they basically separated, where some of the Ethereals went into the Shadowlands and equipped themselves differently. They were becoming brokers. And the Ethereals that we know from the Burning Crusade, they are the Ethereals. We learned this as Venari and the Locust Walker actually know each other. And they were like, hey, remember those days that Karesh was destroyed? That sucked. And it's like, yeah, that's like the last time I saw you, ain't it? So we learned there's a connection there. And it's through those brokers that we can actually set a base at Karesh. Because the brokers, they move Tazavesh out of the Shadowlands, out of the in-between, and they dump it on Karesh. And they're like, this is our home base now. It's protected, it's shielded, this is where we're going to be fighting from. We teleport there is not really a big fanfare, although there are like movies that are not in the PTR right now. But we just kind of teleport to Karesh, because that's what we can do now. And on Karesh, we learn more about this history. And we learn that the Mencius is returning, we need to stop them. But in order to even stand a chance against the Mencius and his overwhelming aura farming, we need ourselves a cloak. Now, you might be already on the phone calling Rephion and be like, hey, Rephion, baby! You're ready to hook someone up with a new cloak? But trust me, it's not going to be Rephion. Even in the presentations, they were being super secret about, oh, this powerful ally is going to help us out. Turns out that it's none other than Xal'atath helping us out. Xal'atath is the force that's helping us out getting this cloak. Similar to how she helped out the Kareshi in the past to become the Ethereals, right? The ghost people. She now gives us the power to do it again with a cloak. And it allows us to teleport into the raid. It allows us to stand up against the Mencius. All the good stuff. And of course, someone like Illyria is like, what are you talking about? What are you talking about? What do you mean we're going to be working with Xal'atath? Have you forgotten what you did to Dalaran? Have you forgotten what you did to Khadgar? Have you forgotten that I've been hunting her for the last months? Have you forgotten? What do you mean? To which Locust Walker is like, Illyria, I don't expect you to trust Xal'atath, but trust me. And let me tell you that I get flashbacks to the Shadowlands, right? Where Uther told Jaina, like, Jaina, I don't expect you to trust Sylvanas, but trust me. And back in the Shadowlands, Janina went like, okay, and then we just trusted Sylvanas. But let me tell you, that's not what's happening right now, Static Soul. Thank you very much for that. No, 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 no. Illyria, ever since this is happening, is throwing the biggest hissy fit that you've ever seen. And she is like, Locust Walker, how could you? Zolotov, how could you? I don't want this. I don't want this. Leave me alone. And in essence, basically the choice that she gets is, look, either you work with Zolotov, or Dementius is just gonna devour you, okay? There is no in-between. Either we work together, or we die together. Good luck. And so even at the very end, she's like, I can't fucking work together with her. And Zolotov is like, either you give me the little rag, or you kill me. Like, either way, it's GG anyways. And she does. She ultimately hands over the rag, and we get the upgrades that we needed. And we get the cloak and what we need to fight against the Mencius. But of course, the relationship between Locust Walker and Illyria is broken. Zolotov has been scheming and manipulating, and she had just the right amount of smirk as she got that bandage from Illyria at the end. You know, there's a little angle there. Let's just say there's a little bit of room for corruption and manipulation and getting her away from her allies. Because yes, Locust Walker lied to her, but she is getting more and more alone. What this will mean for a Zolotov and the future is going to be decided. So as we go through Karesh, we also find out that there were like people that were left behind on Karesh. Think the Broken from back on Argus. They're still on the planet, and they're kind of cuckoo, right? Like kind of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. But we convince them to join our army. How do we convince them to join our army? Well, the only way that Zolotov knows how, which is manipulate them, right? We create a problem, we fix the problem, bada bing, bada boom, and we're like, hey, would you like to ally? Sweet dreams, Yuki. And it's like, yeah, alright, let's ally. And so we do. So we got ourselves a forces, we got ourselves an army, we shut down their mana forces, we try to stop the Mencius, and then the road into the raid opens up, where we need to stop the Mencius to all devouring once and for all. The campaign leads into the raid story-wise, and then after the raid we go into the dungeon, and one of the biggest, coolest parts that I'm looking forward to from the raid is fighting the Mencius. I won't redo all the abilities. I've done it at the beginning of the stream. But in essence, like, they're talking about the Mencius tearing open the fabric of reality. They're talking about spaghettifying, which I thought was like a really funny way of describing what happens to you, but turns out the spaghettifying is actually just a space term where you get turned to spaghetti because of the pressures of freaking black holes. It talks about planets being tossed at us. It talks about us throwing stars back at the Mencius. It talks about a cosmic fight against a being whose size is absolutely massive. There is Zolotov helping us in this battle. There's going to be dragon riding as we go through this fight. This fight looks epic on paper. Good lord, do I hope that they deliver. It reminded me a lot of Argus back in Legion. I remember being so excited of seeing that fight. And while it didn't fully deliver on what was in my mind, like honestly, it will never will, because my mind is always more grander than what they can do. Right now, on paper, it definitely sounds really, really cool. Like, honestly, I cannot wait to see this fucking fight. What does the text there say? What do you mean? Huh? It's gonna be another Deathwing. I hope that this one's gonna be delivering. It's gonna be sick. Just like the Buggy Boss and Emerald Dream. Correct. In between, there's gonna be intermission phase, so we're gonna be able to fly, and I'm going to assume that we're gonna be in space. There's also a part where we're gonna go into the Dark Hearts, and we were talking about Gamescom earlier. During last year's Gamescom, they had like a VR ride, and in that VR ride, you also went into the Dark Hearts. So I'm guessing that's gonna make a return. Is it always a lore text in the adventure guide? Yeah. Deep within Manaforge Omega, the Mencius, the all-devouring and destroyer of Karesh, is slowly waking as his devoted Ethereal followers use the Dark Heart to give him substance. If this succeeds, they will unleash a being unfathomable power that could destroy the very fabric of reality. Yeah, like you have to avoid planets that are being thrown at you and shit. It's kind of sick. Beyond that, we also have demon hunters that have absorbed the void and are now becoming like void hunters. Nexus King Shaladar or Salhadar is the one who is calling upon ancient oaths. They're binding the Ethereals into service. This one, it just impresses me due to the model, because I really like the Moth. It's basically the Queenie from the Rhubarb Palace, or the spider from one of the Dragon Isle raids. But still, I like the Moth model. It's really, really cool. We fight a Moth, yep. So all in all, the raid is definitely looking exciting. And after the raid, like, we don't know what goes down in the raid, obviously, right? How does this connect to Azeroth itself? How does this connect to the World Soul Saga? We do not know. We honestly do not know. Like, do we fly beyond space with Dementius, and do we try to stop him, and does he reach Azeroth anyways? Is this like a, okay, we have saved the day for now, but just wait for the smaller patch? Because we gotta keep in mind that presumably at Gamescom they're going to announce Midnight. So is this going to be their stopping point? Midnight announcement, and then the smaller patch is going to be an interlude? Or is this going to be the interlude into Midnight, and then in Midnight they're going to be like, oh, you have seen Dementius, and we're going to do this and this and this. To be decided, right? How will it flow in line with an Illyria, with going back to the Elven lands, with Locust Walker, with the Void, with stuff. One thing that was really interesting during the questing, before I forget about it, at some point, Venari, you might remember from the Shadowlands and the Maw, she is like, okay, we got to work with Xal'atath, and she tells Xal'atath, you better work with us, right? Because I've been in the Maw, and I know what the Void fears. And this, I think, is a callback to the Windrunner sister comics, in which Illyria, Verissa, and Sylvanas, they go for a ride, and when Sylvanas comes into the picture, the Void starts to whisper manically to Illyria, where it goes like, kill, you gotta kill her, fucking kill her, she is the enemy, kill her! And from that, people were like, ooh, the Void seems to be very over-exaggerating towards Sylvanas. Like, why do they fear her so much? I personally thought like maybe they're just trying to convince Illyria to kill someone and get her to fall. But what if there's more to it? What if like necromancy or undeath, or perhaps some power from the Maw connected to the jailer, perhaps? Oh god. Sorry. Perhaps that is some sort of counterpoint towards the Void, and what if Illyria would fall to the Void? Could we then ask Sylvanas to come out of the Maw and her community service to come help out? There's a whole lot of potentials and things they could do there, right? But for now, in this moment, dealing with Dementius, and then we're going to go into the dungeon, and basically the dungeon comes down to, from what I can tell, details will be filled in, but basically the dungeon comes down to the king is still alive, and those Waste Walkers that we found, they serve the king, and they honor the vow that they took to him, and they thought that he was dead, so they followed us for a little bit, but then he revealed himself to be alive. They were like, you're still alive? Alright, I will honor my oath to you. So they figure out that Venari is doing like this Echo Dome thing where they're trying to rebuild Karesh. And then we're gonna find out, I guess, like why that's all there. So that's what I learned from the questing.